Congressman Buddy Carter joins me now with his thoughts on this aid. Congressman, it's great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for being back with me. What do you make of this additional $10 billion, $300 million to Moldova? Americans are pretty torn on the exhaustive aid that we've been sending to Ukraine. Where do you come down on the issue?
Well, you're right. Americans are torn, especially after what we see happening in East Palestine and the response there, or lack of response, if you will. But at the same time, look, we need to make sure that Europe is doing their part with Ukraine as well. I'm all for helping Ukraine, but at the same time, I want to see Europe and what they're doing. Not only that, but, you know, it is so hypocritical of this administration. I mean, we're concerned about Ukraine's border. We're concerned about Taiwan's border. What about our border? What about the southwest border? I was there 2 weeks ago. It is a crisis down there. We've got to address that as well. So the American people, look, we get it. We understand what's happening in Ukraine. We understand the importance of it. But we also understand that Europe needs to do their part, and that if we're going to protect borders, we need to protect our own border as well.
Yeah, that's been the frustration I think most Americans share is no matter where you stand on aid to Ukraine, aid to another country should never take precedent over aid to Americans in need. American aid for Americans in need, Congressman Carter. East Palestine, Joe Biden has already announced he's not even going to bother visiting the just wrecked city there in East Palestine, Ohio, despite Donald Trump even showing up and originally wasn't going to provide any aid to them at all. So what does that say about our current administration, where we give no aid to distraught cities in America, but hundreds of billions of dollars in aid to distraught countries overseas?
No question about it. That's what's got Americans so upset. You know, we get it. We understand what's going on with Russia and with Ukraine. We understand the importance of Taiwan and China. But we also want to see that our own people are being taken care of, not only in East Palestine, but what about what's going on down at the southwest border? Yeah, he went down there after they cleaned it up, and he's not. This is the 6th time I've been to the border in the 8 years that I've been in Congress. And Joe Biden's been down there once in the last 40 years while he's been in public service. It's just ridiculous.
Well, and you are representing Georgia's 1st district. Need I remind people, Georgia's not down at our southern border, so it shouldn't be your responsibility to go down there. God bless you for doing so, for at least someone in our government is pretending to care, but it shouldn't even be incumbent upon you to go down there yet. Congressmen and governors from around the nation are having to fly down to the southern border to assess the damage because our own president won't. Congressman, I've also got to ask you a point people have been bringing up lately is that we spent about $2.26 trillion in Afghanistan, and that ended up basically being for nothing. A lot of Americans concerned that this aid to Ukraine not only could it be used to meet Americans' needs like in Ohio, also raised the question of how much money would we hypothetically have to spend for this to pay off to Ukraine's benefit? Is there an estimate of how much will be enough? Has Zelensky given us a figure that would be a cutoff?
To my knowledge, he has not. And that is a valid question. I think a question that deserves to be answered. You know, does this administration have any idea how much it's going to take? And, you know, at what point do we say, okay, that's it. That's all we can do. Europe, you've got to step up. You've got to do your part. We've done our part. All of those are questions that the American people should have answers to.
Yeah, and Congressman, before we go, I just want to get your thoughts on what we're hearing, or what we've been hearing from the Wall Street Journal over the weekend. Coronavirus origins, the U.S. Energy Department, the FBI are all getting on board with the what used to be, what I was told was a fringe right-wing conspiracy theory, some Alex Jones nonsense, now is being adopted as the position of the U.S. Energy Department and the FBI that this did come from the Wuhan lab. Is there going to be justice for this? I mean, we have been lied to time and again by our government, by the CCP. That part's not as new. What's going to be done about this now that even our government is saying, okay, yeah, it did come from a lab. This is probably a bioweapon.
Yeah. Well, the Department of Defense has finally admitting to it. It's too little too late is what it is. And, you know, the harm that has been done, unfortunately, is not going to be able to be repaired. We understand that. But people should have to answer. If we just ignore this and let it go by, then shame on us, and it will happen again. No, there should be people answering to this. This is why I called for the firing of Anthony Fauci early on. I still feel like he should have been fired many, many months ago. But people need to answer for this. There needs to be accountability. We need to understand exactly what has happened, and we need to make sure it never happens again. Should
we drag Fauci back to Washington for another hearing now that we have these revelations?
I'm all for that. Why not?
Yeah, I think that would be.
He's still not responsible for what he did while he was in office.
Yeah, it's time to put him back in the hot seat. Maybe we can get some more concessions out of him. That'd be nice to see for the American people. Congressman Carter, always great to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you.